The sports world woke up buzzing with a rumor that feels almost too wild to be real. The kind of whisper that starts in private group chats and suddenly explodes across timelines. The idea being floated is that the Dodgers, a franchise already known for thinking big and moving fast, may have just pulled off something that shocked not only baseball insiders, but even drew the stunned attention of the NFL crowd. According to the speculation, the Dodgers have closed a deal with RONALD ACUñA Jr., a name that carries star power, swagger, and a sense of inevitability whenever it is mentioned. What makes this story feel different is not just the talent involved, but the timing, the secrecy, and the way it seems to have blindsided everyone. There was no long build-up in the media, no endless cycle of rumors preparing fans for the moment. Instead, the chatter suggests a sudden move, a quiet negotiation, and then an explosive reveal that left analysts scrambling to connect the dots. In the tone of a YouTube narrator leaning toward the microphone, you can almost hear the disbelief, the raised eyebrows, and the excitement. People are asking how this could even be possible, what doors were open behind the scenes, and why the Dodgers would choose now to make such a bold statement. As a rumor, it carries that delicious uncertainty, where nothing is officially confirmed, yet everything feels strangely aligned, like pieces of a puzzle clicking together in silence before the picture is revealed. What fuels this speculation even more is the way different sports communities reacted almost simultaneously, as if the shockwave traveled faster than facts. Fans of football suddenly found the Dodgers trending in their spaces, not because of a crossover athlete, but because the move was described as something that metaphorically stunned the NFL, stealing headlines and attention in a moment usually dominated by gridiron narratives. RONALD ACUñA Jr. being linked to a Dodgers move feels like a script written for maximum drama, the kind of storyline that content creators dream of narrating with rising music and urgent pacing. The rumor paints the Dodgers as masterminds, patiently watching the market, reading situations, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Acuna, in this whispered version of events, is portrayed as a superstar ready for a new chapter, someone who wants a brighter stage, a bigger spotlight, and perhaps a different kind of legacy. The lack of official statements only adds fuel to the fire, because silence in sports often speaks louder than denials. In this imagined scenario, front offices are tight-lipped, agents are unreachable, and players post cryptic messages that fans dissect frame by frame. It feels like one of those moments where everyone senses that something massive just happened, even if no one is allowed to say it out loud yet. The storytelling around this rumor also leans heavily on the idea that the Dodgers are not just chasing wins, but narratives. Bringing in RONALD ACUñA Jr. would symbolize ambition, global reach, and an unapologetic desire to dominate conversations, not just divisions. In whispered circles, people talk about how the Dodgers love stars who bring electricity, who make casual viewers stop scrolling and start watching. Acuna fits that image perfectly, with his energy, confidence, and ability to turn routine plays into viral moments. The speculation suggests that this is not only about baseball strategy, but about cultural impact, about owning the moment in an era where attention is currency. You can imagine a YouTuber explaining how this move, if real, would reshape rivalries, marketing strategies, and even how young fans choose their teams. The rumor implies that the Dodgers saw an opening that others missed, a rare chance to align talent, timing, and vision. Whether or not it is true, the mere possibility has already done its job, capturing imaginations and forcing everyone to talk about the Dodgers in a way that feels urgent and dramatic. As the story continues to circulate, another layer of intrigue comes from how unexpected partnerships are supposedly involved. The speculation hints at complex conversations, creative financial maneuvering, and a willingness to push boundaries that other franchises might shy away from. It is framed as a bold gamble, the kind that can redefine a front office's reputation forever. RONALD ACUñA Jr., in this narrative, is not just a player being moved, but a symbol of modern stardom, someone who represents flair, youth, and international appeal. The Dodgers, by associating themselves with him in this rumor, are seen as embracing a future focused on spectacle and excellence. Content creators lean into this angle, speaking directly to viewers as if sharing a secret, reminding them that big moves rarely announce themselves politely. Instead, they arrive as shocks, as moments that feel unreal until they are suddenly undeniable. The rumor thrives on that feeling, living in the space between disbelief and excitement, where fans refresh feeds constantly, hoping for confirmation or denial, but secretly enjoying the suspense. The emotional reaction among fans is another key piece of this speculative puzzle. Dodgers supporters are torn between euphoria and caution, dreaming about what such a move could mean, while reminding themselves that rumors have burned them before. Meanwhile, fans of other teams react with skepticism, humor, or outright panic, depending on how they imagine the balance of power shifting. The mention of the NFL being surprised adds a layer of exaggeration that makes the story feel even bigger, almost mythic, as if one move in baseball could ripple across the entire sports ecosystem. In the voice of a YouTuber, this is where the tone becomes conspiratorial, inviting viewers to think about how leagues compete for attention and how one shocking headline can dominate cycles everywhere. Ronald Acuna Jr. becomes the centerpiece of this imagined storm, his name repeated with emphasis, his highlights replayed as evidence of why such a rumor makes emotional sense, even if logic struggles to keep up. Ultimately, the first wave of this story is not about proof, but about possibility. It lives on speculation, on the thrill of imagining what could be, and on the belief that in modern sports, nothing is truly impossible anymore. The Dodgers are cast as visionaries or villains, depending on perspective, while Ronald Acuna Jr. is elevated to almost mythical status, a player whose potential moves feel like events rather than transactions. This is the kind of rumor that thrives in the YouTube era, where storytelling and emotion matter as much as facts, and where the journey of a narrative can be just as entertaining as its destination. Even without confirmation, the story has already succeeded in doing what the best sports rumors do, pulling fans into a shared moment of anticipation, debate, and wonder. In the second wave of speculation, the narrative deepens, and the whispers become more elaborate, almost cinematic. People start talking not just about the move itself, but about the domino effect it could unleash across the league. In this imagined scenario, front offices everywhere are suddenly rethinking their plans, wondering if they too need to be more aggressive, more creative, more daring. The Dodgers are framed as the franchise that dared to dream bigger, that refused to be predictable. Ronald Acuna Jr., within this rumor, is no longer just a player changing uniforms, but a catalyst for chaos, excitement, and reinvention. The way YouTubers narrate this part of the story feels like a slow burn, lowering their voice, emphasizing how power dynamics can shift overnight. They talk about how one unexpected signing can rewrite narratives, silence critics, and force rivals into reaction mode. The NFL reference keeps popping up as a metaphor, suggesting that even the biggest sports juggernaut had to look over and acknowledge the shockwave created. It is all part of the drama, the exaggeration, and the shared fantasy that makes sports culture so addictive. Speculation also leans into the personality aspect, imagining how Ronald Acuna Jr. would fit into the Dodgers environment, the city, the fan base, and the media spotlight. The rumor paints scenes of packed stadiums, buzzing social media, and jerseys flying off shelves. It suggests that the Dodgers see Acuna not just as a performer on the field, but as a global ambassador, someone who connects with younger audiences and international fans. In this version of events, conversations behind closed doors are described as visionary, focusing on legacy, influence, and long-term impact rather than short-term gains. The YouTube-style narration thrives here, mixing excitement with analysis, asking rhetorical questions, and inviting viewers to imagine the highlights, the celebrations, and the rivalries that could be born from this move. Even skeptics find themselves pulled in, because the story is told with such conviction that it feels emotionally true, even if it remains officially unverified. Another angle that keeps resurfacing is the idea that this move represents a shift in how star players view their careers. The rumors suggest that Ronald Acuna Jr. is portrayed as someone unafraid to challenge expectations, to step into new environments, and to chase something more than comfort. The Dodgers, in turn, are seen as a destination that promises not just success, but relevance and influence. This speculative partnership is framed as mutually beneficial, almost destined, as if the stars aligned at the perfect moment. YouTubers love this kind of narrative because it allows them to frame the story as a meeting of ambition and opportunity. They speak about how modern athletes want more control over their narratives and how franchises that understand this can attract elite talent. Whether real or not, the rumor feeds into broader conversations about power, branding, and the evolution of professional sports. As the discussion continues, the lack of concrete information becomes a feature rather than a flaw. Every silence, every vague quote, every unrelated move by another team is analyzed for hidden meaning. The Dodgers' past reputation for surprise moves is cited as evidence, while Ronald Acuna Jr.'s competitive fire is used to justify why he might be open to such a dramatic change. The NFL mention remains a colorful exaggeration, but it serves its purpose, highlighting how this rumor transcends its own sport. In YouTube narration style, this is where the host leans back, smiles, and reminds viewers that sports are as much about stories as they are about statistics. The rumor becomes a shared experience, something fans debate passionately, even while acknowledging that it might never be confirmed. The emotional core of this speculative tale lies in hope and fear. Hope for Dodgers fans who imagine an unstoppable lineup and a new era of dominance. Fear for rivals who picture the balance tipping even further. Curiosity from neutral fans who simply enjoy watching chaos unfold. Ronald Acuna Jr. stands at the center of it all, his name carrying weight, his imagined decision symbolizing courage and ambition. The Dodgers in this rumor are both admired and resented, praised for boldness and criticized for excess. This tension is what keeps the story alive, replayed and reinterpreted across platforms, each time with a slightly different tone but the same underlying excitement. In the end, this second part of the story does not seek closure, because closure would end the fun. Instead, it embraces uncertainty, letting the rumor breathe and evolve. It invites fans to keep watching, keep speculating, and keep dreaming about what could happen next. Whether the move ever becomes official almost feels secondary to the cultural moment created by the speculation itself. The Dodgers and Ronald Acuna Jr., linked by rumor and imagination, have already captured attention in a way that few confirmed transactions ever do. And in the world of sports content, that might be the biggest victory of all. But before we move forward, don't forget to join our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest news about the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the news, so drop a comment below. The rumor refuses to fade, and instead it seems to grow stronger with every passing hour, as if fueled by the collective imagination of fans who want to believe that something historic is unfolding behind the scenes. In this continued wave of speculation, people start framing the possible move as a statement about dominance, confidence, and even defiance. The Dodgers, according to this whispered narrative, are not satisfied with being good or even great. They want to be unforgettable. Ronald Acuna Jr. becomes the embodiment of that ambition, a player whose presence alone changes the emotional temperature of a stadium. You can almost hear a YouTuber emphasizing how rare it is for a franchise to even flirt with this level of audacity, let alone execute it in silence. The story suggests secret meetings, late-night calls, and a shared understanding that this was about more than contracts or numbers. It was about legacy. Fans dissect every smile, every body language clip, every unrelated interview quote, searching for confirmation hidden in plain sight. The rumor feeds into the idea that modern sports are theater, and that the biggest moves are often choreographed long before the curtain is lifted. Whether true or not, This imagined scenario gives fans a sense of being part of something massive, something that will be talked about for years as the moment everything changed. As the conversation stretches on, the speculation starts to feel almost philosophical, touching on what it means to build a super team in an era obsessed with balance and fairness. The Dodgers are portrayed as unapologetic architects of power, willing to endure criticism in exchange for excellence. Ronald Acuna Jr., in this context, is framed as a player who thrives under pressure, someone who does not shy away from expectations but feeds on them. YouTube narrators lean into this contrast, explaining how some stars seek comfort while others seek challenge. The rumor positions Acuna firmly in the second category, imagining him embracing a new chapter filled with louder crowds, brighter lights, and relentless scrutiny. The NFL comparison resurfaces again, not as a literal crossover, but as a symbol of scale, suggesting that this move is big enough to pull attention away from any other storyline. Fans from different sports backgrounds chime in, debating whether this represents progress or excess. The lack of clarity keeps the debate alive, because without facts, emotion takes the wheel, and emotion is what drives engagement, loyalty, and endless conversation. By this point, the rumor has taken on a life of its own, evolving from a simple whisper into a full-blown saga that feels impossible to ignore. Content creators talk directly to their audiences, acknowledging the uncertainty but insisting that the energy around this story feels different. They remind viewers that some of the most shocking moments in sports history started exactly like this, as improbable ideas dismissed until they suddenly became reality. The Dodgers and Ronald Acuna Jr. are now inseparable in the public imagination, linked by a narrative that symbolizes ambition without limits. Even if nothing ultimately materializes, the impact of the rumor is already real, shaping opinions, stirring emotions, and reinforcing the idea that sports are driven as much by dreams as by facts. This ongoing speculation leaves fans suspended in anticipation, refreshing feeds, sharing theories, and waiting for the next hint. And that suspense, the collective pause before truth arrives or vanishes, is what makes this story feel so powerful, so addictive, and so perfectly suited for the endless echo of YouTube narration. That's all for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay up to date with exclusive news about the Los Angeles Dodgers, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We always appreciate your comments and feedback. See you in the next video.